The nanny I hired, with a monthly salary of 8,000 yuan, slapped me in the face in front of more than 20 relatives. After hitting me, she even glared at my husband with red eyes. My husband, Jiang Huai, stood beside her, holding a cup of hot tea for his mother-in-law. He frowned and said, "Lin Wan, do you really want to push Shen Man to this point?" Shen Man covered her wrist, her voice trembling as if she had just been pushed down from the 18th floor. "Jiang Gu, it's okay. I know that Sister Lin always looks down on me. To her, a nanny isn't even considered a human being." My left cheek hurt terribly. The living room became quiet suddenly. It was my mother-in-law's birthday, and the Jiang family's relatives came over, filling the room with people. My younger sister-in-law, my second aunt, my third uncle, my cousins, even the distant uncle we haven't seen in 800 years attended the party. On the table were the dishes ordered from a private chef. The cake was something I had waited 2 weeks to get. My mother-in-law wore the gold bracelet I bought for her, and a jade pendant I gave her as a gift hung around her neck. Shen Man stood in the middle of our living room, wearing my silk shirt, and her hand held the jade bracelet that my mother left behind. I told her to take it off. She said, "Lian Jia, this bracelet was given to me by my aunt." I looked at my mother-in-law. She gave me a stern look and said, "It's just a worthless bracelet. Shen Man has worked so hard taking care of me. What does wearing it do? Don't act like you've never seen anything before." I said, "It's something from my mother's belongings left behind by my mother." My mother-in-law rolled her eyes and said, "Using things worn by dead people to show off is really disgusting." Just as I was about to say something, Shen Man started crying. "Auntie, please don't say that anymore. I'll take it off now. I know that Lian Jia has always disliked me since the first day." As she cried, she stepped back, as if I were a violent murderer with a knife in my hand. I tried to take back the bracelet, but she suddenly slapped me. It was a crisp sound, a loud noise. Even the little cousin who was watching videos on the sofa suddenly turned his head up. I turned my face away, and my lips were bruised by the impact with my teeth. The smell of blood rushed out suddenly. I didn't cry. I didn't shout either. I just touched my lips and looked at the red mark on my fingertips. It was okay. After 3 years of marriage, finally, the last piece of the puzzle was put together. Jiang Huai's first reaction wasn't to ask if it hurt. He rushed over to support Shen Man, his voice very low, but enough for me to hear. "Does your hand hurt?" Shen Man shook her head, her tears flowing even more. "I'm fine, Jiang Gu. I really didn't mean to do that. Sister Lin's look earlier was too scary for me, and I couldn't control myself." Jiang Huai turned to look at me. "Lin Wan, apologize." I almost laughed. "What did you say?" "I asked you to apologize to Shen Man." He said it seriously, as if I had actually used my face to hit Shen Man just now. I looked at him. I've been looking at this face for 5 years. I've been in a relationship with him for 2 years. And we've been married for 3 years. His salary started at 6,000 yuan a month when he first started work. And now he drives the car I bought, lives in the house I bought, and even takes his mother to live with us. I thought I was marrying a normal person. But today, I see that he's actually a cunning and resentful person. I asked him, "If she hits me, do you want me to apologize to her?" Jiang Huai frowned and said, "Shen Man is different from us. She hasn't had a good life since she was a child. So it's normal for her to be sensitive. It's understandable if she feels embarrassed in front of so many people." I nodded. "I understand." My mother-in-law immediately continued, "That's exactly what it is. Wan, I'm not trying to criticize you, but you're becoming more and more unreasonable. Shen Man takes care of me every day, bathing me, massaging me, cooking for me. She's too tired to even stand up straight. As your daughter-in-law, do you really have the energy to be mean to her?" I looked at the table full of dishes. Cooking. The dishes on this table were prepared by a private chef. The receipt is still in my phone. Bath and massage services. My mother-in-law has knee problems, so the therapist comes to our house 3 times a week, at a cost of 4,008 yuan per visit. I'm the one who pays for those services. Shen Man does the most things every day, wearing my clothes, using my skincare products, sitting in my massage chair, and posting messages in our family group saying, "Auntie, you look great today." I asked my mother-in-law, "She's working so hard to take care of you. Who pays her salary?" My mother-in-law couldn't say anything in response. I turned to Shen Man and said, "This month's salary is 8,500 yuan. I'll pay for her social insurance and give her a triple bonus during holidays. On your first day at work, you broke a set of cups. Did I deduct your salary for that? Shen Man bit her lip and said, Sister Lin, I know you have money. You don't need to humiliate me like this. I got this money by working overnight to revise the plan. It wasn't something that happened by chance. You get paid for your work. It's part of the labor contract. You wear my mother's belongings. And even hit me on the face. You're completely crazy. Jiang Huai's expression turned serious. Lin Wan, can't you speak in a less harsh manner? Harsh manner? I pointed at my own face. She hit me, and you protect her. She wears my mother's belongings. And you say I'm harsh. Jiang Huai, you keep the water level so low, it's as low as if you're making a bed for her to sleep in. Someone in the living room gasped. Little sister Jiang Qing immediately rushed out. Sister, don't be so harsh. Sister Shen Man and my brother are completely innocent. Don't make everyone seem like a third party. I looked at the bracelet on her wrist. Last year, when she graduated, I gave her this bracelet as a gift, 36,000 yuan. At that time, she hugged me and said that being my sister was the best thing ever. Now, when she calls me Sister Shen Man, it sounds even sweeter than calling me her mother. Alright, today, a seminar on human diversity will be held in my living room. Without wasting any more words, I took out my phone and immediately called 110. Jiang Huai's expression changed. Lin Wan, what are you doing? I'm calling the police. Shen Man was briefly panicked. Sister Lin, did you really do that? I only touched you lightly. Just lightly. I showed her the blood on my mouth. Next time, try touching the light switch lightly, maybe the electricity bill will be reduced for you. My mother slapped the table. You're crazy. Such a disgrace should not be made public. I said. From the moment she slapped me, this isn't just a disgrace anymore, this is a crime against public order. Jiang Huai stole my phone. I stepped back. And my voice became colder. If you touch me, I'll report you too. He froze. The relatives in the room finally began to persuade me. Lon, forget it. It's a big birthday. Women fighting over such things isn't good for anyone. It's not a good look for us to end up in the police station. Shen Man doesn't have it easy either. She works alone in the city. I glanced around. Those who are trying to persuade me to give up can go to the police station to give statements for her later. Don't just talk about helping others. Also help with practical actions. No one spoke anymore. The police arrived quickly. When the two officers entered the room, Shen Man was already crying so hard that she could hardly stand. Jiang Huai helped her up, while her mother-in-law sat on the sofa, holding her chest. If anyone didn't know, they might think I had opened a kind of villain experience center at home. The police officer asked, "Who called the police?" I raised my hand. I did. She hit me, and the surveillance cameras recorded it. There were more than 20 people at the scene. Shen Man's face turned pale. Sister Lin, I really didn't do it on purpose. I pointed at the camera in the corner of the living room. Stop acting like this. Save some battery power. Later, you can act like a witness to the police. The police officer looked at the red marks on my face. Then at Shen Man. Did you really hit her? Shen Man wanted to cry, but Jiang Huai spoke first. Police officer, this is a family conflict. She's our nanny. We get along fine usually. There was just a misunderstanding today. I looked at Jiang Huai. Who's the one who gets along well with her? You? He stared at me angrily. I didn't bother to look at him. The police officer asked to access the surveillance footage. I turned on my phone and connected it to the home camera. The footage was clear. Shen Man was wearing a bracelet. I asked her to take it off. She cried, stepped back, raised her hand, and slapped me. There was no pushing or shoving. No threats. No footage of her saying, Sister Lin wants to hit me. There was only the moment she slapped me. After watching the footage, the police officer's expression became serious. Come with us for a while. Shen Man's legs became weak, and Jiang Huai immediately stepped in front of her. Comrade police officer, it's not necessary. She's just a girl. How would she be scared? I laughed. She wasn't scared when she hit people. But now, sitting in a police car makes her scared. Jiang Huai, you're so considerate, but sometimes your actions cause problems. Jiang Huai gritted his teeth. Lin Wan, do you really want to make things worse? Yes. I looked at him. I'll make things worse today. Before Shen Man was taken away, her phone slipped out of her pocket. The screen lit up for a moment. I didn't really want to see it, but that message appeared on the lock screen, bright enough to seem like a knife being handed to me. The note read, Brother Jiang. The message was just one sentence. Don't be afraid. She will apologize to you sooner or later. I will also find a way to add your name to the property. I looked up at Jiang Huai. The color on his face gradually faded away. In the police station, Shen Man finally couldn't cry anymore. She sat on the chair, clutching a tissue in her hands. From time to time, she glanced at Jiang Huai and then at me. Jiang Huai sat next to her, looking like a protector of flowers that had been drenched by rain. I sat opposite her, holding an ice pack to apply to my face. My left side was swollen, and it hurt when I spoke. The pain was unbearable, but pain can also keep one awake. The police officer asked me questions during the interview. Name: Lin Wan. What's your relationship with the other person? Employer and nanny. Shen Man immediately raised her head. Sister Lin. I always treated you like family. I looked at her and said, no, family wouldn't steal my underwear every month for 8,500 yuan. The room was quiet for a second. The female police officer who was taking the interview looked at me, trying not to laugh. Shen Man's face turned red. You're talking nonsense. I took out my phone and showed her the photo. This white silk shirt costs 3,200 yuan. The one you're wearing today. There's my initials written on the back of the label. I was worried that it might get lost. So I asked a tailor to sew them onto it. Shen Man subconsciously covered her collar with her hand. I continued. And there's also the cream on my dressing table. It costs 2,700 yuan per bottle. You used up half of it. And the bottle was covered with your foundation stains. Just because I didn't say anything doesn't mean I'm lying. Jiang Huai couldn't hold back anymore. Lin Wan, is it really worth talking about these things now? Yes. It's worth talking about. I took the ice pack off. She slapped me. But you say it was a misunderstanding. She wore my clothes. But you say it was a small matter. She wore my mother's belongings. But you say I'm making a big deal out of nothing. Jiang Huai, with your tolerance, why don't you put up a sign at the temple entrance? You should have a box for donations for you too. The police officer coughed. Let's talk about the assault first. Shen Man lowered her head and said softly, I admit that I did hit her, but I didn't do it on purpose. She scolded me at that time, calling me a lowlife, and even saying that I seduced her husband. I couldn't stand it anymore. Stop. I looked at the police officer. I request to obtain the complete surveillance footage, including the audio recordings. Her actions are considered spreading rumors on the spot. Please write down this clearly in the report. Shen Man bit her lip. Jiang Huai lowered his voice and said, Lin Wan, you're almost done. I turned to look at him. If you keep teaching me how to act, I'll also submit the information about that house edition you mentioned. If you like to be a guest on the scene, I'll add some more drama to your role. He remained silent. Soon, the complete surveillance audio was obtained. I didn't call her a lowly person. I just said, take off that bracelet. It's something my mother left for me. Shen Man said, that's something my aunt gave me. My mother said, things worn by dead people are considered unlucky. Then Shen Man started crying. Then there was a slap. Everything was clearly recorded, like in a high-definition documentary. The police officer asked Shen Man, do you have anything else to add? Shen Man's face turned white, as if it had just been scrubbed clean. I was too excited at that time. Excitement isn't a reason to hit people. The female police officer glanced at my face. Ms. Lin, do you want to go to the hospital for an injury check? Yes. Jiang Huai suddenly stood up. Lin Wan, do you really want to take such a drastic action? I looked up at him. Drastic action? I didn't make her hit me on the spot. That's already a sign of respect for modern legal society. Shen Man started crying again. Brother Jiang, I really didn't mean to do that. Can you help me talk to Sister Lin? I can't have a criminal record. My brother is going to take the civil service exam this year. I laughed. What does your brother's exam have to do with me? Even if he passes, he still has to thank me for teaching him a lesson. Don't hit people, don't steal things, and don't harass employers or husbands. Any of these three actions would be considered disgraceful. Jiang Huai looked upset. Do you really want to ruin her? I'm protecting myself. I stood up and said to the police officer, I'll go to the hospital for a checkup. I'll provide more information about the items taken by my mother later. Shen Man became anxious immediately. That bracelet was given to me by my aunt. My mother isn't the owner of those items. She has no right to dispose of my things. I looked at Jiang Huai. If your mother were so generous, she could give away her own gold bracelet. Using your mother's belongings as a gift is nothing but lazy charity. Jiang Huai continued. Angry. Lin Wan, are you even going to blame your mother now? I'm not blaming her. I stared at him, word by word. I'm just stating the facts. Your mother took something that doesn't belong to her, and gave it to the woman you're protecting. You three, along with that one extra person, are sucking blood from me, thinking my blood type isn't sweet enough. The female police officer coughed again. This time, she turned her face away, her expression very strained. We left the police station at almost 1 o'clock in the morning. Jiang Huai followed us out and grabbed my wrist. Get in the car. I'll take you home. I pulled away from him. Don't touch me. His expression became dark. Lin Wan, stop making trouble. Shen Man has already been punished. What do you still want to do? First, she hasn't been punished yet. She's just providing her statements. Second, my face is still swollen. Third, that message you sent. I need to explain it. Jiang Huai's eyes lit up. What message? I showed him the screenshot in front of him. He glanced at it and immediately said, she lacks confidence. I just tried to comfort her. Comfort her until she asked to have her name added to the room number. That was a sarcastic remark. Jiang Huai, you really have a sharp tongue. When you say something sarcastic, it becomes a misunderstanding when it's spread around. When you act like someone is forcing you to do something, it's just because others are pressuring you. If your life were made into a movie, its title would be, I'm Always Innocent. He became red-faced from my criticism. What exactly do you want to do? I stared at him. Divorce. He was stunned. What did you say? I said, divorce. The wind blew from the street, making my face hurt, my lips hurt, and my wrists hurt too. But inside, I felt extremely calm. So calm that I even wanted to give myself a thumbs up. Jiang Huai seemed to hear some kind of joke. Is it because Shen Man hit you? It's because you made me apologize to her. He was surprised. I continued. She hit me because she's uneducated. You made me apologize because you have no conscience. For the first case, I called the police. For the second case, I got a divorce. The logic behind these actions is quite clear. Jiang Huai stared at me. Lin Wan, don't regret anything. I almost laughed. The thing I regret most is not checking whether there was any backflow in your family's ancestors' bones 3 years ago. After saying that, I took a taxi to the hospital. I had my injuries checked, taken photos, and filled out medical records. While the nurse was treating my mouth, she looked at my face and whispered, it hurts, doesn't it? I said, it's okay. She sighed and asked, was it your family who beat you? I glanced at her. It was the nanny who beat me. My husband asked me to apologize. The nurse shook her hand. Ha! I smiled. Don't be surprised. These days, even crazy people are sold as souvenirs. Their families even get free gifts too. After checking my injuries, I went to the hotel. The house belonged to me, but I didn't want to go back there. There was Jiang Huai in the house, my mother-in-law, and the scent left by Shen Man. It was unpleasant. After entering the room, the first thing I didn't do was sleep. I turned on my computer, logged into the cloud storage, and downloaded the surveillance footage from the past 3 months. The footage includes videos from the living room, entrance, kitchen, and balcony. I installed surveillance cameras originally to protect my mother-in-law from falling while she was alone at home. But now, those cameras have become my electronic judge. At 3 a.m., I saw a video. 2 weeks ago, at 3 p.m., I was in a meeting at the company. Shen Man was wearing my pajamas, walking out of the main bedroom. Jiang Huai followed behind her. He wrapped his arms around her waist and kissed her. Shen Man laughed and patted him on the back. Stop it. Auntie is sleeping. Jiang Huai said. What's there to worry about? This house will eventually belong to you too. I stared at the screen, my fingers tightening slightly. Good. The evidence is here, waiting for me to take it. At 9 o'clock the next morning, I called the lawyer. Lawyer Chen, I'll be at your office at 10 o'clock. There was a brief pause on the other end of the line. Divorce? Yes. Do you have any evidence of fault? There's enough evidence to make a PPT presentation. Lawyer Chen was silent for a moment, then said, I'll see you at 10 o'clock. When I arrived at the office, the girl at the reception desk stared at me with wide eyes. Mr. Lin, what happened to you? I was bitten by a dog. She was shocked. Do you need to get vaccinated? I said, no need. The dog has already been taken to the police station for a statement. She didn't dare ask any further questions. I entered the office. And my assistant, Jo Ku, had already set up an iced Americano on the table. She had been with me for 4 years. And knew how to read people's expressions. Today, when she saw me, her voice became softer. Mr. Lin. Mr. Jiang called this morning. He said your phone was turned off. And asked me to tell you that there's an urgent matter at home. What urgent matter? He said. Sister Shenman is very worried. She hasn't slept all night. Her mother's blood pressure is high, and she asked you to go back and apologize. I put down my bag and smiled. If your blood pressure is high, go see a doctor. If you're scared, find a psychologist to talk to. Why do you need me? Do I look like some kind of mobile apology machine? Zhou Ku lowered his head, his shoulders shaking slightly. Mr. Lin, how should I respond? Tell him that I'm too busy dealing with his funeral arrangements. I don't have time for anything else. At 10 o'clock, Lawyer Chen arrived on time. I laid out all the evidence before him. Surveillance footage, medical reports, police records, screenshots of chat messages, and bank statements. After reviewing everything, Lawyer Chen wiped his glasses clean. Mr. Lin, this case is more complicated than I expected. You can say it's disgusting. Indeed, it's disgusting. I nodded in satisfaction. In adult conversations, accuracy is more important than being polite. Lawyer Chen said, did you buy the house before marriage? Yes. My parents paid a portion of the deposit, and I paid the rest myself. I'm still paying off the mortgage after marriage. The property deed only has my name on it. What about the cars? 2. One is a Mercedes that I bought before marriage. The other was planned to be bought after marriage. But the payment was made with money from my personal premarital savings and funds from selling funds. I've been driving a Jianghuai car ever since. The company shares, they're all under my name. The company was founded before I got married, and it has increased in value since then. It might involve the value added by the marital joint property. What should be given? I'll give it. What shouldn't be given? Not a single cent will be given. I showed him another document. And this. Jiang Hui resigned from his position as vice president in my company last year. He started working in procurement and approval processes last year. I suspect he's using company money to buy things for Shenman. Lawyer Chen raised his head. Do you have any evidence? The finance department is already investigating this. He nodded. We'll handle it in 2 separate ways. The divorce lawsuit and the internal company audit should be handled separately. If the nanny assaulted someone, you can claim compensation for medical expenses, lost wages, and emotional damages. If the bracelet can be proven to be your personal property, and the other party refuses to return it, then we can go through civil proceedings. But if it's related to theft, that's a different matter. I asked, how soon can Jiang Hui be gotten out of my house? Lawyer Chen smiled. Legally, we can't use the word get out. Then let's say moving out. You can send a legal notice first, demanding that the harassment of your living space and the return of your vehicles and personal items be stopped. If harassment or threats occur, please report to the police immediately. I nodded. Then let's do that. Lawyer Chen gathered the documents. Mr. Lin, are you sure you want to take this approach so thoroughly? I looked at the surveillance footage on the computer screen. Shen Man was wearing my pajamas, with Jiang Hui holding her hand. Behind them was the bedside lamp I personally selected. I spent 3 furniture stores just to get that lamp. Now, even looking at it makes me feel dirty. Lawyer Chen, I have a problem with money. You can spend it wrong, but you can't leave people behind in the wrong way. Spending it wrong is like paying tuition fees, but leaving someone in the wrong way could be fatal. Lawyer Chen nodded. I understand. After he left, I called the finance director. Old He, all the procurement contracts handled by Jiang Hui need to be rechecked. Old He was clearly surprised. All of them? Yes. All of them. Especially in the past year, we have carefully checked the invoices, logistics details, and acceptance reports of suppliers whose names contain words like man, Shen, Xincheng, or Hongda. Lao He lowered his voice and said, President Lin, did Vice President Jiang have some problems? Whether he has problems or not depends on whether his hands are clean. I understand. After hanging up the phone, Jiang Hui finally called me. I answered. His voice was very angry. Lin Wan, what do you mean? Did you really send those lawyers' letters to my home? You're quite efficient. Do you really want a divorce? Yesterday, I spoke in standard Mandarin, not in ancient scripts. He took a deep breath. If you come back now, we can talk properly. Shenman is also here. She wants to apologize to you. Where is she? At home. I laughed. I've already fired her. Is she still staying in my house? My mother can't live without her. Your mother can't live without her. So you rented a house for her, and brought your mother there too. Don't act like a mother and daughter in my house. Jiang Huai became angry. Lin Wan, don't go too far. What's wrong with my mother living in my daughter-in-law's house? First, the house belongs to me. Second, after your mother moved in, all the costs related to maintenance, utilities, cleaning, and rehabilitation were paid by me. Third, she accused my mother of bringing bad luck upon herself. Jiang Huai, it's because of my high standards that she can still live here. It's not because she has too little courage. The sharp voice of my mother-in-law came from the other end of the phone. Tell her to say something. I really want to see how she can get me to stop. I left the call on hold. Auntie, listen carefully. I'll send a legal notice today, cancel her access card tomorrow, and change her smart lock permissions the day after tomorrow. If you have any objections, you can talk to your son. He's very filial. He can take you to stay in a luxury hotel suite. After all, he's the one who knows how to use my money wisely. My mother-in-law was furious and couldn't stop breathing heavily. You heartless person. It was the Jiang family who took you in as their daughter. Without them, you wouldn't be here today. I was amused by this statement. The Jiang family took me in as their daughter. What did they give me in return? A husband who relies on others for support, a mother-in-law who constantly scolds my mother, and a maid who spanks me with her hand. The gift is quite comprehensive. Even if I were to save money on Pinduoduo, I still wouldn't get such a mess of goods. Jiang Huai said. Lin Wan, stop calling me by my name. My voice became colder. Before 6 o'clock this afternoon, hand over my jade bracelet, my clothes, and my car keys to the property management. If I lose even one of them, I will call the police. If you continue to stay in my house, I will also call the police. You can try and see if I have time to spend with you. After saying that, I hung up the phone. At 5:30 in the afternoon, the property manager sent me a message. Ms. Lin, Mr. Jiang brought down a jewelry box and a car key, but he said he also has a right to live in the house, so he won't move out. I replied. Received. Don't open the jewelry box. I'll go over there tonight. At 7 o'clock in the evening, I returned home with Lawyer Chen, the property manager, and a locksmith. As soon as the door opened, I saw my mother-in-law sitting on the sofa, while Jiang Huai was standing by the window, smoking. Shen Man was still in the kitchen, working with an apron on. When she saw me, she immediately put down her knife. Sister Lin, I've cut some oranges for you. Don't be angry. I glanced at the plate. You used a cutting board for cutting oranges. She was surprised. My mother-in-law immediately said, why be so fussy? It won't kill you. Yes, it won't kill you, but it will make you sick. I walked into the living room. Where are the things? Jiang Huai pointed to the boxes on the coffee table. I opened them. Inside were my mother's jade bracelet. Thankfully, it wasn't broken. I picked it up, touching the surface of the bracelet with my finger. The heat in my chest surged up again. Before she left, my mother gave it to me, saying that in times when no one would support us, we could look at it. She never expected that 3 years later, the person who would take it away would be my mother-in-law, and the person who would wear it would be our housekeeper. I put the bracelet back into my bag. Shen Man, pack up your things and leave. Shen Man started to cry. Auntie Lin, I really know I was wrong. I can't live without you. If I leave, who will take care of her? I looked at my mother-in-law. You're 58 years old, not 88. You need to see a rehabilitation therapist for your knees. And you need to take medication for your high blood pressure. You should go to the senior university to find someone to talk to. Don't live your life in a state where you can't take care of yourself. And don't even assign someone to hit me on the face. My mother-in-law became furious and her face turned red. I want Shen Man to take care of me. Okay. I nodded. Jiang Huai, hire someone to take care of your mother. You'll pay for it. Don't do it at my house. Jiang Huai extinguished his cigarette. Lin Wan, I'll ask you one last time. Do you really want to drive my mother out of this house? I'll ask you one last time too. I looked at him. This house belongs to the Lin family. Not the Jiang family. It's okay for your mother to live here, but her allowing the nanny to hit me is beyond tolerance. Shen Man suddenly came over and knelt down. Sister Lin, can I kneel down before you? Please don't drive me away. My family is really in trouble. My brother is still studying, and my mother is not healthy. I can't go without a job. I looked down at her. Your family is in trouble, so you're wearing my clothes? She shook her head. I was just confused for a moment. Your brother is studying, so you're wearing my mother's bracelets? I made a mistake. Your mother is not healthy, so you're slapping me? She cried even more. I bent down and looked her in the eyes. Shen Man, being poor doesn't mean you can avoid trouble. You take my salary, sleep in my bed, and even slap me. Such a person should be shown in TV shows, but the comments in the chat sections would surely describe you as dirty on the screen. Her face became rigid. Jiang Huai stared at me sharply. What are you talking about? I took out my phone and played back that surveillance footage. At the entrance of the master bedroom, Shen Man was wearing my pajamas. Jiang Huai was holding her in his arms, kissing her. The words "this house will eventually become yours too" were clearly visible. The living room was dead silent. My mother-in-law's face turned from red to white. My younger sister, Jiang Qing, just walked in, holding a cup of milk tea in her hand. When she saw the video, she stood there, completely stunned. Shen Man sat down on the ground. Jiang Huai rushed over to try to take my phone from me. I stepped back. Lawyer Chen stood in front of me. Mr. Jiang, please calm down. The video has been backed up in the cloud. I looked at Jiang Huai's pale face and smiled. It's useless to try to take my phone. Your little scheme is now safe in the cloud. Jiang Huai gritted his teeth. Lin Wan, were you monitoring me? This is my home. I told you about the surveillance cameras when I installed them. You even said your wife was very careful. I looked at Shen Man. Now, please leave my house. If you stay one more minute, I will call the police about your illegal presence here. Shen Man stood up, trembling, and went to the nursery to pack up her things. 10 minutes later, she came out with her suitcase. The suitcase was huge, incredibly huge. I glanced at it. Open it. Shen Man's expression changed instantly. This is my private information. Okay. Then let's go to the police station to open it. She held onto the lever tightly. My mother-in-law started to cry out again. Lin Wan, don't go too far. I immediately took out my phone. Hello. I need to report this to the police. The nanny who assaulted someone earlier has resigned, and it seems like she took away my personal belongings. She refused to cooperate in counting them. Shen Man was devastated. Don't call the police. I'll open it myself. The box opened as Jiang Huai closed his eyes. Inside, there were 2 of my pajamas, 3 bottles of skincare products, a cashmere scarf, and half a box of unopened bird's nest. There was also a file bag. I took it out and opened it. Inside, there was a pregnancy test result. Name, Shen Man, gestational week, 8 weeks. I looked at that paper, slowly raising my head. Jiang Huai's face turned pale more quickly than Shen Man's. I showed the pregnancy test results to Jiang Huai. The paper was very light, but the sound it made was like a slap to the face. His first reaction wasn't to look at the paper at all. His first reaction was to help Shen Man. At that moment, I couldn't help but laugh. I laughed so hard that my left cheek hurt. Jiang Huai, you're really something. You made me apologize to my nanny, let this other woman wear my clothes and live in my room, and even let her carry your child. That combination of punches is so ridiculous that even dogs would laugh at it. It's completely insulting to any dog's intelligence. Shen Man cried and backed away. Sister Lin, please don't do this. I and brother Jiang are sincere. I gave her a look. Sincerity? How much value does sincerity have? When you had an 8,005 salary, were you sincere? When you wore my mother's bracelet, were you sincere? When you slept in my bed, were you sincere? Your heart seems quite busy these days. I suggest you get checked up to see if there's any problem with your blood supply. Jiang Huai's face became extremely ugly. The child might not be mine. Shen Man suddenly raised her head. Brother Jiang. I applauded. That was amazing. Jiang Qing stood at the door, having forgotten even the straws for her milk tea. Finally, the mother-in-law realized what was going on and rushed over to pull Shen Man away. You're pregnant. Whose child is it? Say it clearly. Shen Man cried, trying to protect her belly. Auntie, it's Jiang Ji's child. Jiang Gu said he would give me a home. The mother-in-law seemed like she had been struck by lightning. She valued her reputation above everything else in her life. The day before, she said that Shin Man was sensible and pitiful. But now, she found out that Shin Man had gone to her son's bed. I looked at her. Auntie, is it a surprise? The little coat you brought in yourself, it's of good quality. It was right next to your son's body. The mother-in-law's face turned green and white. Shut up. I refuse to do that. I stepped forward. It's been 3 years. I've bought medicine for you, arranged appointments with experts, hired a rehabilitation therapist, and ordered nutritious meals for you. In front of your relatives, you said that I couldn't take care of things properly, that I wasn't filial. You gave Shin Man the things left by your mother, and even cursed at me for bringing bad luck. Now, the woman you're protecting is carrying your son's child. Do you really want to shout at me and tell me to shut up? I looked at her, word by word. I won't eat any more of the food from the Jiang family. I'll even smash that bowl. Who wants to lick it? That's up to them. Jiang Huai was finally furious. Lin Wan, don't speak in such a harsh manner. I turned to look at him. Harsh? I didn't send the surveillance footage to the community members. That's already a sign of my environmental awareness. I don't want to pollute everyone's eyes. He pointed at me. You dare? You can try. I turned my phone screen toward him. The video recordings, chat logs, pregnancy test results, police reports, and medical reports, I've sent them all to the lawyer. If you dare to touch me, you'll experience what it's like to be arrested tonight. Lawyer Chen added. Mr. Jiang, what Ms. Lin said is true. Jiang Huai's hand froze in the air. I love a society based on the rule of law. It makes wild people take their hands back. Shin Man was still crying. Sister Lin, I know you hate me, but the child is innocent. I almost laughed out loud. The child is innocent, so you are guilty. Don't use your belly as an excuse to get out of trouble. You're carrying a child, not some precious treasure. Shin Man choked with words. I took the pregnancy test results and took a photo of them. I will give this form to the lawyer. In a divorce case, infidelity during marriage, living with a mistress, and making large-scale gifts are all considered issues. Jiang Huai immediately said, I didn't give her any large-scale gifts. I looked at him. Why rush? The financial department is already investigating. His eyes flickered. That was enough for me to figure out what was going on. There must be some mystery here. The property manager stood nearby, looking extremely embarrassed, as if his shoes were about to get dirty from standing there. I said to him, please arrange for security to come and help them leave. Starting tonight, Jiang Huai's access rights will be suspended. The temporary cards of his mother-in-law and Shin Man are invalid. Jiang Huai shouted, I am your husband. That won't be the case soon. If the marriage isn't dissolved, I have the right to live here. Lawyer Chen spoke up. Mr. Jiang, the house was Ms. Lin's personal property before marriage. Given that you have an improper relationship with a third party, and you allow that third party to enter the house regularly, seriously affecting Ms. Lin's peace of mind. Ms. Lin has the right to demand that you stop this infringement. If you continue to stay there, we will petition the court for appropriate measures to be taken. Jiang Huai gritted his teeth. My mother suddenly sat down on the ground and began crying. What a miserable fate. I've worked hard to raise my son, only to end up with a tigerish woman as my wife. Now even my mother wants to be driven out of here. I looked down at her. Please sit down and take a look at the floor tiles. They're imported from Italy. Each one costs 800 yuan. You can cry, but don't spread your tears on the tiles. The cleaning staff will get tired from dealing with them. Jiang Qing couldn't help but say, Sister-in-law, you're going too far. I looked at her. Jiang Qing, the year you graduated, you asked me for 100,000 yuan to start a business. Did you open your nail salon yet? Her face turned pale. I continued. You spent 7 days in Phuket, forgetting to block me from your social media circles. Last year, you said you wanted to take the postgraduate exams, and you asked me to pay 30,000 yuan for training courses. But instead, you bought a bag. Now you're speaking for your brother. Fine. But first, pay back the 130,000 yuan. Jiang Qing immediately fell silent. I glanced at the people in the Jiang family. Who else wants to uphold justice? Stand up, and I'll settle the accounts with you. No one spoke. It was satisfying. Really satisfying. In the past, I always thought it was important to keep a good reputation among family members. But now I realize that some people don't understand what a good reputation means. They only understand bills. The security guard arrived. And Shinman, with a suitcase in her hand, started crying and leaving. My mother-in-law was supported by Jiang Qing, still cursing behind her back. Jiang Huai was the last one to leave. He stood at the door, looking at me. Lin Wan, you will regret this. I smiled. You're just a defective product. I won't even take you at a reduced price. The word regret is something you'll keep for yourself, to use later. The door closed. I asked the locksmith to change the smart lock password, reset the access control system, and cancel any visitor privileges. At 1 a.m., the house finally became quiet. I stood in the middle of the living room, looking at the sofa, dining table, lights, and curtains. All these items were clearly bought by me, but they seemed to have been used by someone else. I sent a message to Zhou Ke. Tomorrow, we'll hire a company for a thorough cleaning. All the bedding in the master bedroom needs to be replaced. The curtains, carpet, and sofa covers also need to be washed. The items in the nanny's room should be cleared out. Zhou Ke replied immediately, understood. Mr. Lin, how are you doing? I looked at my swollen face in the mirror. I'm doing great. Just as I finished typing, the financial director, Lao He, called me. His voice was deep. Mr. Lin, we've found some problems. Tell me. Among the 3 suppliers approved by Deputy Manager Jiang last year, 2 have actual controllers who are related to Shinman. One of those suppliers is run by her brother. Based on our preliminary checks, the inflated procurement amounts amount to at least 860,000 yuan. I closed my eyes. When I opened them again, I smiled. I need to gather evidence. Lao He asked, what do you plan to do about this? I looked at the old lock that had been replaced. I'll call the police. There was a silence on the other end of the line for a second. I understand. I hung up the phone. My phone vibrated again. A message came from an unknown number. Lin Wan, don't push me too far. Jiang Huai also has a hold on you. I stared at those words. What a mess. And there's another wave of problems to deal with. At 8 o'clock the next morning, I was awakened by the doorbell. I spent last night in the guest bedroom. I couldn't look at the bed in the main bedroom without feeling like I was suffering from some kind of eye injury. Jiang Huai stood outside the door. He was wearing the same clothes as yesterday. His eyes were dark, and new stubble had appeared on his face. It seemed like reality had punched him hard. I looked at him through the security screen. Do you have something to say? He stared at the camera. Open the door. Let's talk. If you want to talk about divorce, go to a lawyer. If you want to talk about money, talk to the finance department. If you want to talk about relationships, talk to Shinman. What you're asking me for isn't relevant to my work. He seemed angry. Lin Wan, don't push things too far. Last night, I just didn't have a place to stay, so I took my mother to stay in a hotel. She cried all night. Crying all night is good for your lungs. It's a good exercise for them. I interrupted him. Jiang Huai, I have a meeting at 10 this morning. You have 30 seconds. He took a deep breath and spoke in a softer tone. I admit that there's something wrong between me and Shinman, but you also have a responsibility. You're too dominant. Everything in the house depends on your decisions. I don't have any dignity in this family. I laughed. You use my car, live in my house, earn my salary, and work as the vice president in my company. Moreover, you even arrange for someone else to take advantage of me by getting the money I've paid as a nanny. Is that not a sign of lack of dignity? Then, do you really have any dignity? Do you expect me to bow down to you 3 and celebrate the new year with you? His face turned ugly. Do you really have to speak in such a rude way? My words are rude, but my behavior is even worse. Each of us has our own strengths. Jiang Huai looked at me, then sneered. Do you really think you're clean? Did your company really achieve what it has today without relying on any shady connections? I raised an eyebrow. Go on. How did you get the project in the west of the city last year? Don't you know the details? I thought for 3 seconds, and then remembered. The project in the west of the city was awarded through public bidding, with 3 rounds of evaluations. The documents were submitted in 6 boxes. My team worked for 20 days, revising the proposal until 4 o'clock in the morning. In the end, we won the competition based on technical evaluation. At that time, Jiang Huai was only responsible for serving tea to the judges. Now he's using this threat against me. What kind of arrogance? I said, where are the proofs? He stopped in mid-sentence. I nodded and said, "If you don't have any proof, then stop writing novels and stop making threats at my door." He gritted his teeth and said, "Lin Wan, I have photos of you eating with the client. Photos of a meal meeting." "Yes. How many people were there?" He didn't say anything. I answered for him. 12 people. 2 tables. You were also there. You sat next to me, vomited at the hotel entrance after drinking too much. And it was my assistant who picked you up and took you home." Jiang Huai's face became rigid. "Do you really think that taking things out of context can scare me?" I stared at him. "Jiang Huai, your attempts at blackmail are really amateurish. I suggest you start over from scratch. By the way, I've already taken screenshots of that threatening message and sent it to my lawyer. If you try again, I'll call the police and report you for blackmail." Finally, panic appeared in his eyes. I didn't have the time to waste on him anymore. I hung up the phone. "It's 10 o'clock. I'm going to the company for a meeting." Lao He handed me the preliminary draft of the audit report. "President Lin, there are 3 issues that need to be addressed." "Go on." "First, the procurement of office supplies approved by Deputy Director Jiang has prices that are significantly higher than the market rate. The legal representative of the supplier, Shinseng Trading, is Shen Liang, Shen Man's younger brother." I flipped through the documents. "What about the amount?" "The total cost is 1.3 million yuan, while the reasonable market price is around 700,000 yuan. The difference is about 600,000 yuan. Second, regarding the procurement of gifts for company team-building activities, the payment from the supplier, Manha Culture, ended up in Shen Man's personal account. The amount involved was 260,000 yuan. Third, Deputy Director Jiang used client maintenance as a pretext to reimburse expenses for meals, hotels, and gifts, totaling 420,000 yuan. Many of these expenses didn't match the client's itinerary. I looked up. "Hotels?" Lao He nodded, looking a bit embarrassed. "The time of the hotel reservations matches the time shown on Shen Man's phone location. We got this information from her social media posts and compared it with the invoice dates. It can't be used as complete evidence, but it can serve as a clue." I smiled. "She still posts on Moments?" Zhou Ke whispered beside me. "Shen Man did post something on her fake account." The message read, "Only those who are loved can be fearless." I rubbed my forehead. "It's really tacky." Lao He asked, "President Lin, what next?" "First, suspend all company permissions for Jiang Huai. Access to security systems, email accounts, OA systems, and expense reimbursement systems must be stopped. Second, send a notice of suspension. Third, gather evidence and report to the police. Fourth, send a letter to all partners, explaining that Jiang Huai's personal actions do not represent the company." Lao He nodded. "Understood." In the afternoon, a notice of suspension was issued for Jiang Huai. In less than 20 minutes, he called me. I didn't answer. He started sending messages. "Lin Wan, do you really dare to suspend me from my position? The company also has a place for me. Don't forget, I've helped you over the years. Without me, how could you have achieved what you've done today?" I replied, "Without you, I would have had to deal with 3 crisis situations less often." He didn't respond anymore. At 6 o'clock in the evening, my mother-in-law brought Jiang Qing and 3 relatives to block the entrance to the company. Zhou Ke rushed into the office. "President Lin, Mrs. Jiang is arguing downstairs. She says you forced her son to leave the family, and that you even supported that idiot." I was still looking at the contract, not even lifting my head. "Who's that idiot?" She didn't say. "Tell me more before continuing this argument. The lack of continuity in the story ruins the overall experience." Zhou Ke. I closed the document. "Did you call the police?" "The property management already called the police." As I went downstairs, my mother-in-law was sitting on the floor in the living room, hitting her thigh. "Everyone, come and see. My daughter-in-law became angry because she has money, and she forced my son to divorce her. She even drove me, an old woman, out of the house. This is just cruel." There were employees watching the scene. Someone took photos with their phones. When my mother-in-law saw me, she cried even louder. "Lin Wan, you wicked woman. You've already ruined my son, but now you're trying to ruin our whole family too." I walked up to her. "Auntie, let me correct you first." She was stunned. "First, you're 58 years old this year. You're not an old woman at all. Second, Your son has had an affair with a nanny and misused company funds. It's his own fault. And I don't need to help him. Third, you're sitting in the lobby of my company. The rent for just 1 minute also costs money. If you want to cry, please pay the fee by scanning the code. Some of the onlookers couldn't help but laugh. The mother-in-law's face turned red. You still laughing? Your mother died too early. No one taught you how to be filial. The atmosphere instantly became tense. I stopped smiling. Jiang Qing pulled her mother-in-law aside. Mom, please stop talking about it. I stared at my mother-in-law. If you ever mention my mother again, I'll show you what it means to lose your dignity as an adult. My mother-in-law stood there, defiant. What's wrong with that? Your mother didn't have good luck giving birth to you like this. Security guards, I said. 2 security guards immediately stepped forward. This woman has disrupted the company's business order and insulted the company's manager. Please keep an eye on her until the police arrive. The old woman became panicked. You dare? I took out my phone and started recording the conversation. Her words earlier, your mother died too early, were clearly heard. What do I have to fear? I looked at the employees who were watching the scene. Everyone should go back to their posts. Those who work extra hours today will get their expenses covered by the company. The colleague who just made the video, please don't share it online. Send it to the legal department as proof. The employees quickly dispersed. Only then did the old woman realize that making a scene here wouldn't get her any benefits. She started covering her chest. Ouch! I can't take it anymore. I'm going to die from her anger. I turned to Zhou Ku and said, call 120. The old woman stopped talking. I continued. Also, tell the doctor that she has a history of high blood pressure. Keep all the test results ready. Whoever pays will be responsible. Her son is very filial, so don't let anyone else get the chance to show off their skills. The old woman's hand covering her chest was hesitant, unable to make a decision. Jiang Qing said softly, sister-in-law, we're all family. Let's not make this so serious. I'm looking at her. When will the 130,000 be paid back? Her face turned pale. That was something you offered me voluntarily. Yes. That's why I want to get it back now. Didn't you say that I'm not part of your family? Between outsiders, there must be evidence for any loans. I have a transfer note with the note. Startup loan. Tuition fee for postgraduate studies. Do you have any records of repayments? Jiang Qing remained silent. I stared at her. Don't always call her sister-in-law whenever you spend money, and don't call Lin Wan whenever something goes wrong. Your ability to change expressions is enough to make anyone in Sichuan opera send you a resume. When the police arrived, my mother-in-law finally stood up from the ground. After understanding the situation, the police officer warned her not to disrupt business operations. She refused to accept this and tried to argue. I handed over all the surveillance footage, recordings, and legal letters. My mother-in-law's face turned pale. In the end, she was helped by Jiang Qing as she walked away. Before leaving, she turned around and glared at me fiercely. Lian Wan, if you're so ruthless, your end won't be good. I laughed. Don't worry, no matter how bad my end is, I won't rely on my daughter-in-law's house to support me, or on a nanny to turn things around. She almost rushed back again. Jiang Qing quickly pulled her away. I returned to the office. And Lao he was waiting for me. President Lin, the police report is ready. I took it from him. The first page was the approval form signed by Jiang Hui. The second page contained records of payments made by Shen Liang's company. The third page showed the transaction history of Shen Man's personal account. At the end of the page, I noticed a particularly noticeable transfer. Jiang Hui transferred 200,000 from the company's reserve account, with the note urgently needed by the client. Recipient, Shen Man. Date, my birthday. That day, he told me he had to go on a business trip and couldn't accompany me for dinner. I sat alone in the restaurant for half an hour, then packed the cake to take home. It turned out he was busy transferring money to the nanny. Zhou Ku carefully asked, President Lin, are you okay? I closed the document. I'm fine. I looked up at her. Report it to the police. Just as Zhou Ku was about to leave, my phone rang. It was a voice message from Shen Man. I opened it. Her voice sounded tearful. Sister Lin, please, don't report it to the police. Jiang Gu said that those money were given to me voluntarily by him. If you want to blame someone, blame him instead. I have a child in my belly. You can't force me like this. I stared at my phone. The next moment, Another message arrived. It was a photo. Shen Man was standing at the hospital entrance, holding a pregnancy test kit in her hand. The caption read, "If you dare to report the police, I will make sure everyone knows that you're forcing a pregnant woman to die." I laughed. This girl is really starting to take legal action now. Shen Man thought that being pregnant would protect her. She overthought it. I immediately sent the screenshot showing her being forced to die to Lawyer Chen. Lawyer Chen responded quickly. "It's considered an act of threatening, but the evidence will be kept. Being pregnant doesn't affect civil liability, nor does it automatically exempt one from criminal responsibility." I replied, "I understand." Then I sent the screenshot to Jiang Huai. He called me 10 minutes later, his voice tired. "Lin Wan, don't provoke her. Her emotions are currently unstable. When her emotions are stable, she hits me. When they're unstable, she threatens me." Jiang Huai, you really know how to find people who are perfect for your schemes, like targeting people precisely in areas full of psychological threats. He spoke in a low voice. "The child is innocent. Everyone here agrees with that statement." I leaned back in my chair. "The child is innocent, and so is the law. Don't let the law take the blame for your mess." Jiang Huai remained silent. I continued. "Tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning, at the mediation center next to the Civil Affairs Bureau, Lawyer Chen will bring the agreement there. You sign this agreement, and the house and car will belong to me. The company's shares will also remain with me. You must return the misappropriated funds and the gifts given during the marriage. I can clearly state your willingness to compensate in the criminal report documents. What if I don't sign? Then we'll go through legal proceedings along with a criminal complaint. You can choose whatever you want." He sneered. "Do you really want to send me to jail?" Jiang Huai, it was you who entered this situation yourself. At most, I can help you with the door. He hung up the phone. I put down my phone and continued to read the contract. In the past, I always thought that a broken relationship would be extremely painful. But now, it turns out that it's not that complicated. Love can create a level of filtering that makes everything seem much better. Evidence can make everything seem so clear. Like 4K quality without any filters. The next morning, at the mediation center, when I arrived, Jiang Huai, my mother-in-law, and Jiang Qing were there. Shen Man also came. She wore a loose white dress, holding her belly, her face pale, as if she had just rushed from a drama set. I sat down and asked her the first question I had. "How many weeks?" She was stunned. "What? Aren't you pregnant? How many weeks?" She bit her lip. "A little over 8 weeks. I nodded. "You're really early with your motherly instincts, aren't you?" Jiang Huai frowned. "Lin Wan, please be careful with what you say." "I'm already very careful. Otherwise, I would ask her, what would happen if the 8-week-old embryo heard her lie?" Shen Man's face turned pale. Lawyer Chen placed the divorce agreement on the table. "Mr. Jiang, this is our proposal." Jiang Huai flipped through the pages, his expression changing. "I'm supposed to return 2,030,000. Are you crazy?" Lawyer Chen said calmly. 1,100,000 of it was given to Shen Man without Ms. Lin's consent. As part of the marital property, 86,000 was spent on unusual company expenses. The rest includes costs for vehicle repairs, hotel expenses, and false reimbursements that need to be settled. The exact amount will be determined by the final audit. Jiang Huai slammed the agreement onto the table. "Spending on company expenses is business-related." I looked at him. "The supplier from the business side is Shen Man's younger brother?" He was taken aback. Shen Man immediately replied, "That's just a coincidence. My brother's company is operating normally. Why would there be any problem with it?" I laughed. "Operating normally? The registered address is a rented room in the village in the city. There are no employees. And no social security contributions have been made. The invoices are for office supplies. The shipping address is just next to your delivery cabinet. Is my brother some kind of magic trick? Can he create 3 million worth of goods just by pulling on a hair of a monkey?" The mediator looked at the documents. His brows furrowed tightly. My mother couldn't help but say, "Lin Wan, you already have so much money. Why do you keep pressuring us? You and Jiang Huai are husband and wife. Can't you leave him a chance?" I looked at her. "Does he really deserve my respect?" My mother was surprised. "When Shen Man slapped me, you told me to forget about it. When she wore my mother's belongings, you said it was a bad omen. When Jiang Huai had an affair, you protected him. Now, when he's about to throw up money, you still talk about being husband and wife with me. I leaned forward, my voice not loud enough. Auntie, the beads of the abacus really hurt my face. Jiang Qing said softly, sister-in-law, I can pay back that 130,000 slowly, okay? I gave her a glance. Okay. Write a promissory note. Agree on a repayment plan. And charge interest if there is a delay. Her face turned green. Shen Man suddenly started crying. Stop arguing. It's all my fault. Can't I leave Jiang Gu? Sister Lin. Please let him go. He really loves you. I stared at her for 3 seconds. Shen Man, you're saying things like a meal order. No onions. No garlic. But we have to keep our face clean. You're carrying his child. Spending his money. And now you're trying to make me believe that he loves me. Even if you think I'm stupid, you still have to pay for my intelligence. The mediator almost choked on the water. Jiang Hui snapped. That's enough. Not enough. I took out a new piece of material from my bag and placed it on the table. Shen Man, I've had someone check your pregnancy test results at the hospital. The hospital confirmed that the number doesn't exist. The doctor's signature doesn't match the date of the consultation. That day, the doctor was on leave. Shen Man's face turned pale instantly. Jiang Hui suddenly turned to look at her. What does this mean? Shen Man became panicked. I probably got the wrong one. I took out the second piece of paper. This is the actual record of your visit to the hospital that day. You went to the dermatology department. The diagnosis was allergic dermatitis. How can an allergic reaction be treated as normal during pregnancy? My mother opened her mouth. But she couldn't say anything for a while. Jiang Qing blurted out. You're faking being pregnant. Shen Man burst into tears. I had no choice. Brother Jiang doesn't pay attention to me these days. I'm afraid he won't want me anymore. Jiang Hui stood up and shook her hand away. You're lying to me. Shen Man hugged his arm, crying. Brother Jiang, I really love you. I leaned back against him. Internal conflicts are fine. But don't touch the table. The facilities in the mediation center are valuable. And you must compensate if they get damaged. Jiang Hui's face turned white and then blue. He looked at me. And for the first time, there was a look of embarrassment in his eyes. Lin Wan, I don't know if she's faking being pregnant. Whether you know or not doesn't matter to me. I knocked on the agreement. Sign it. Or we'll go to court. Jiang Hui sat back down, his fingers turning white from holding the pen. My mother-in-law suddenly rushed over and grabbed my hand. Wan, Mom is wrong. She really is wrong. Can't you avoid getting divorced from Jiang Hui? He's just acting recklessly for a moment. After all, no man can avoid making mistakes. You're so capable. Will you still be afraid of not being able to manage him in the future? I pulled my hand back. Auntie, when men make mistakes, don't start sentences with after all. It sounds like something from a wholesale market. I've already applied for a return of this product. No exchange. No repair. My mother-in-law started crying. But you can't just call the police. If he has a criminal record, then he's finished for life. When he transferred company money, he didn't expect this to happen in his life. He's your husband. He's an adult. I looked at her. Adults should pay for their own actions. Don't always put Mom in the role of being a coupon for you. The mediation failed. Jiang Hui didn't sign. He finally said to me, Lin Wan, don't think you've won. There are people in the company who support me. I stood up and picked up my bag. Then make them line up. I'll take care of them all at once. That evening, the company issued a notice via internal network. Jiang Hui was suspended from work for investigation. All related procurement projects were suspended. All personnel involved were required to cooperate with legal and auditing departments. After the announcement was released, the company became chaotic. Some people sent me private messages. Said Jiang Hui indeed often brought Shen Man to the company, using the pretext of being her family member to get gifts, use the meeting room, and have the administration arrange afternoon tea for her. Others sent screenshots. Shen Man boasted in the company's tea room. President Lin is too busy. I'm handling everything at home. Brother Jiang said that I will also have a place in the company in the future. I looked at the screenshots with a cold smile. A nanny has already started to claim territory for my company. She isn't ambitious at all. She simply doesn't have the courage to set boundaries. At 10 p.m. He called me. President Lin, we have some crucial evidence. Say it. Deputy Director Jiang used the company's reserve funds to transfer 200,000 yuan to Shen Man. The subsequent transactions were traced. Where did it go? She paid a deposit for an apartment. The buyer is Shin Man, and the person who signed along with her was Deputy Director Jiang. I closed my eyes. Is the evidence ready? It's ready. There are contracts, payment receipts, and surveillance footage all ready. I stared at the lights outside the window. I'll report to the police tomorrow morning. Old he said, President Lin. Once we report it to the police, there will be no way back. I smiled. Old he, I've already set things up. After hanging up the phone, I received a strange message. Lin Wan. I'm downstairs at your company. Let's meet, or I'll send your video out. I stared at the screen. A video? This story has more twists to it. The person who sent the text message was Shin Man. She stood downstairs of the company, wearing a mask with the brim of her hat pulled down very low. Zhou Ku recognized her from the surveillance footage and asked if I wanted to call security. I said, let her come in. We need to record her conversation in the conference room. Zhou Ku nodded in agreement. 5 minutes later, Shin Man entered the room. She was no longer wearing that white dress, no longer looking pregnant, and without Jiang Huai's support behind her, she looked like a poorly inflated balloon, lacking in energy. The first thing she said when she sat down was, Sister Lin, I don't want to fight with you anymore. I was holding a cup of coffee, and I almost laughed at her words. When you slapped me, did your face still look intact? Her expression became tense. I know I was wrong, but don't push me too far. I have your video. What video? The video of you entering the hotel with a man. I raised my eyebrows. When? June 12 last year. I recalled that day. June 12 last year. The day before the final review of the Qingxi project. I brought my team to stay at a hotel located near the bidding venue, so it would be convenient to submit the materials the next morning. There were 12 people in total, sharing 6 rooms. The administrative staff made the reservations in advance. She actually used this as a threat against me. I asked, who gave you that video? Shin Man didn't say anything. I nodded and said, Jiang Huai. She bit her lip. Don't care who gave it to me. As long as it's sent out, no one will care about the truth. They'll just blame you. I looked at her. Shin Man, have you ever thought about one thing? What? Before you threatened me, you should have investigated who I was before you started working with me. She was stunned. I put down my coffee. I started my career in brand relations. I deal with public opinion management, crisis planning, countering fake news, and sending legal notices. These are the basic services of our company. Using a surveillance clip from a hotel where multiple people stay as a threat against me is like solving a simple math problem in school compared to solving a difficult math problem in the college entrance exam. Shin Man's face turned pale. I picked up the phone on the table. Zhou Ku. Please retrieve the reimbursement documents for the business trip related to the Qingxi project on June 12 last year, the list of hotel accommodations, the attendance records from meetings, and the group photos. Zhou Ku replied from outside. Understood, President Lin. Shin Man became panicked. Don't try to act calm. I'm very calm. I looked at her. Because I'm clean. She suddenly stood up. What about Jiang Gu? If you really decide to report him to the police, he'll be ruined. You've been married for 3 years, do you not remember any of your old feelings? Yes, I do, I said. So I decided to send him there myself. I wasn't willing to let others take care of him. Shin Man's eyes widened in shock. I continued, don't rush either. Everything related to your brother's company, the 200,000 you received, the clothes and jewelry you took from me, and the incident where you hit me, all of these will be dealt with. Your brother and you have a deep bond, and it's only natural for you to be reunited in the case files. Finally, she broke down. Lin Wan, why are you so cruel? You already have money, a house, and a company. I just want to live a better life. I looked at her. If you want to live a better life, then go to work, learn, and do things. The path you choose is to be a scoundrel, steal money from employers. Don't call greed progress. Those who work hard will only want to call the police. She shook her head, crying. People like you don't understand the hardships of those from our lower class. I do understand. I leaned forward. When I first started my business, I lived in a basement. In winter, the blankets became so damp that you could squeeze water out of them. At 2 a.m., I had to revise plans. By 7 a.m., I had to take the subway to meet clients. If the client is not satisfied, I have to work overnight to complete 40 pages of PPTs. Whether you suffer or not has nothing to do with your bad behavior. I stared at her. Hard times aren't a license for you to do evil. Shen Man couldn't speak. Zhou Ke knocked on the door and placed the documents on the table. I opened them and showed them to Shen Man. The list of guests staying at the hotel, 12 people. The attendance sheet for the meeting, also 12 people. The group photo from that night, 12 people. The expense reports, also 12 people. I asked her, do you still post those messages? If you do, I will sue you for infringement of reputation, slander, and extortion. By the way, I've already thought of an interesting title for my post. A nanny interferes with her employer's marriage, then uses hotel surveillance footage to extort her original wife. Shen Man's fingers trembled. You're terrifying. Thank you for the compliment. I stared at her. I prefer something terrifying rather than pitiful. Pitifulness can be easily exploited by others, but terrifyingness can make people shut up. In the end, the security guards finally forced her out. That afternoon, the police accepted the company's report. Jiang Huai was summoned for questioning. Shen Liang was also taken to be questioned. That night, Shen Man sent me over a dozen messages. Sister Lin, I was wrong. I'll return your clothes and skin care products. I can pay back that 200,000 slowly. Please let my brother go. He doesn't know anything. I didn't respond. The next day, Lawyer Chen informed me that the divorce lawsuit had been officially filed. The court announced that mediation would be conducted. In Jianghuai, the lawyer has changed, and they have submitted their defense arguments. They say that the relationship between the couple isn't completely broken, and they hope that the court won't grant a divorce. I watched those words and couldn't help but laugh. Zhou Ke asked, President Lin, what's wrong? Jianghuai said he doesn't want a divorce. Maybe the food outside is too expensive for him. He misses the times when we had regular meals. A week before the court hearing, I went back to my hometown to see my father. My mother passed away early, so my father lived alone. I didn't want to worry him, so I kept it to myself. But Jianghuai was shameless enough to call my father and say that I had someone else in my life, forcing him to divorce me. When I arrived at home, my father was watering the flowers in the yard. When he saw the mark on my face that hadn't completely disappeared yet, the watering can in his hand fell to the ground. Who called you? I said, the nanny. Where is Jianghuai? He wants me to apologize. My father was silent for 3 seconds, then went inside to get a kitchen knife. I quickly stopped him. Dad, we live in a society based on the rule of law. My father's eyes turned red with anger. I raised you all these years, not for them to mistreat you like that. My nose tightened, but I didn't cry. I know, so I've already gone through all the procedures. Reporting to the police, filing lawsuits, conducting audits, and freezing certain accounts. My father was surprised for a moment. Did you do everything? Yes. He put down the kitchen knife. That's good. After a while, he asked again, do you have enough money? I smiled. Dad, I have money. Even if you have money, keep it. He went inside and handed me a bank card. It's money that your mother saved for you. She said that in the future, when you face difficulties, you won't be afraid of having nowhere to go. I held the card in my hand, feeling a lump in my throat. My mother has been away for so many years, yet she still supports me. I said, Dad, I won't look back. He nodded. Don't look back. A rotten apple can't be made sweeter by cutting it. I laughed. That's a harsh analogy. I learned it from you. After returning from my hometown, the trial began. In court, Jiang Huai looked thinner. My mother didn't come. Shen Man didn't come either. His lawyers started speaking first. The two parties have lived together for 3 years after marriage, and their relationship is very strong. Although the husband has committed inappropriate behaviors, he is willing to repent and hopes that the wife will give him another chance. I looked at Jiang Huai. He had his head down, his eyes red with emotion. It was my turn to speak. I stood up. Judge, I do not agree to mediation, nor do I want to continue this marriage. The judge nodded and said, please explain your reasons. First, Jiang Huai had an improper relationship with a third party during our marriage. He even appointed that third party as my housekeeper, allowing her to frequently access my premarital property. Second, that third party assaulted me in public. Jiang Huai demanded that I apologize to the perpetrator on the spot. Third, without my consent, Jiang Huai transferred large amounts of money to that third party and their associates. There is also suspicion that he used his position to embezzle company funds. Fourth, Jiang Huai's mother repeatedly insulted me and my deceased mother, which seriously damaged our relationship as a couple. I presented one piece of evidence after another: surveillance videos, police reports, medical reports, screenshots of conversations, financial audit reports, explanations of relationships with suppliers, property deeds, and purchase contracts, proof of premarital contributions. After reading the document, the judge's expression became increasingly serious. Jiang Huai's lawyer tried to argue further. The plaintiff is a dominant personality, and she lacks concern for the defendant, which led to the defendant feeling suppressed throughout the marriage. I looked at the lawyer on the other side. Please tell me. I pay for the mortgage, car loans, my mother's medical expenses, Jiang Huai's mother's rehabilitation costs, my niece's loans, and all the household expenses. Is this also considered a lack of care? The lawyer replied. Material things cannot represent emotions. Then what about cheating? He was momentarily stumped. I continued. He said he felt suppressed. So much suppression that he used my car to take the mistress to view houses. So much suppression that he used company money to pay the mistress's deposit. And so much suppression that he forced me to apologize to the mistress. This level of suppression is quite high. I suggest applying for intangible cultural heritage status. Some people in the audience tried to hide their laughter. The judge tapped the table. Please keep order during the trial. I nodded. I'm sorry, Judge. I'm just a bit sensitive to the word suppression. Finally, Jiang Huai looked up at me. Lin Wan. I really realize I was wrong. I looked at him. You don't just realize you're wrong. You know you have to pay compensation. His face turned pale. Our 3 years of relationship, do you not care at all? I do care. I said. That's why I calculated every single sum carefully. It's only by being clear that I can be worthy of those 3 years. The trial concluded, and the judge announced a date for the verdict. When I left the court, Jiang Huai came up to me. His voice was hoarse. Wan, give me one more chance. I stopped in my tracks. Who's that name? He was confused. Wan, that name shouldn't be spoken by you ever again, since you let Shen Man stay in my house. His eyes became red. I really regret it. It's okay. I looked at him. Regret is something that happens after life is over. Don't ask me to sign for it. With that, I turned around and left. Just as I reached the parking lot, Zhou Ke called me. President Lin, there's some new developments with the police. Tell me. Jiang Huai admitted to some of the misappropriations. Shen Liang also confessed that Xinqing Trading was merely a shell company used to facilitate their transactions. I held the phone in my hands. Have you confirmed the exact amount? It's initially 920,000 yuan, and it may increase further. Zhou Ke paused for a moment. President Lin, the police say that the amount is already sufficient to meet the criteria for filing a case. I looked at the national emblem over the court gate and smiled slowly. Finally, it's Jiang Huai's turn to apologize to the law. On the day the judgment was issued, I was in a project meeting. Lawyer Chen sent me a message. The judgment has been issued. The divorce is granted. The house belongs to you, and the car also belongs to you. Jiang Huai must return the portion of the marital property that was donated by both parties, along with the additional costs of litigation. The case involving the company's misappropriation will be handled separately. After reading the message, I placed my phone upside down on the table. In the meeting room, the director of the marketing department was still talking about the launch schedule for the new products. I gestured for him to continue. Divorce is a significant event in life. But my life doesn't just consist of this one thing. After the meeting, Zhou Ke brought me a cup of coffee. Director Lin, congratulations. I took it. Congratulations on becoming single again, or maybe congratulations on successfully clearing out the mess. She thought for a moment. Both are congratulations. I smiled. In the afternoon, Lawyer Chen came to the company and handed me the original judgment. Jiang Huai is likely to appeal. Let him do that. As for the criminal case, if he cooperates with the compensation efforts, he might get a lighter sentence. That's something the court will decide. I flipped through the last page of the judgment, staring at the words dissolution of the marriage relationship. There was no crying as I expected, nor was there any dramatic scene like in TV dramas. I felt only silence, like a room that had been stuffy for 3 years, finally allowing fresh air to enter. That night, I returned to that house. The deep cleaning was complete. The bed sheets were changed. The curtains were washed. The carpet was taken away. And the nanny's room was now empty. I packed up everything that Jiang Hui had left behind. Clothes, belts, razors, video games, and a cup he gave me last year. On the cup, it read, "Please guide me in the rest of my life." I glanced at it, then threw it into the trash bag. No need for his guidance in the rest of my life. I will walk on my own path. The property management sent a message saying that Jiang Hui was waiting at the door, wanting to see me. I replied, "Let him wait in the lobby. I'll go down now." In the lobby, Jiang Hui sat on the sofa. When he saw me, he stood up immediately. In just a little over a month, he seemed to have aged several years. After the company filed a lawsuit against him, he was released on bail. His job was lost. His car was taken away, and he couldn't even get back into his house. Shen Man had already run away. I heard that she sold all the bags and jewelry she had, and used the money to hire a lawyer for her brother. Jiang Hui went after her, but she closed the door and said that Jiang Hui had deceived her. The two of them kept blaming each other, as if they were playing a game of blame shifting. Jiang Hui looked at me, his eyes red again. "Lin Wan, I'm here today to apologize to you." I nodded. "I hear you." He stood still for a moment. "Is that all? What else?" "I'll just set up a stage for you, provide some lighting, and let you give your award speech, right?" He lowered his head. "I know you hate me. Don't add any more drama to it." I looked at him. "Hating you takes too much time. Right now, you're here with me, just like an expired order. You frown when you see me, but you don't remember me." He smiled bitterly. "You still know how to talk. Thank you. After leaving you, my language skills returned to normal." He remained silent for a while. "My mother is sick. Find a hospital. She wants to see you." "No. She said she knows she was wrong. Tell her from me that if she realizes her mistake, she should seek proper treatment. Don't waste time on regrets. They won't help with high blood pressure." Jiang Hui closed his eyes. "Do we really not have a way back?" I looked at him. "Jiang Hui, do you know what the most annoying part of you is?" He looked up. "You never really felt wrong. You're here to apologize because the house is gone. The car is gone. The job is gone. Shen Man has left. And the case is still unresolved. You've exhausted all your options. And that's why you remembered that there was a light here." My tone was calm, but I turned off that light. Tears fell from his eyes. In the past, whenever he cried, I would feel sympathetic. I would wonder if he was under too much pressure, if it was too difficult for him to balance between me and his mother. Now, all I can think of is how amazing human tear ducts really are. When things go wrong, there's drought. When bad luck strikes, there's flooding. I said, "I've asked the property management to pack up your things for me. I'll pick them up within 3 days. If it's more than 3 days, they will be treated as waste. Lin Wan. And, please don't try to contact me again. Every time you appear, I remember one more time of being slapped by the nanny. You certainly don't want me to get emotional and provide more evidence to the police, do you?" His face turned pale. I turned around and left. Behind me, he suddenly said, "Will you meet someone better in the future?" I stopped and looked back at him. "It doesn't matter if you will meet someone better. What matters is that you won't ever meet someone as bad as you." After saying that, I entered the elevator. As the doors closed, I saw Jiang Hui standing there, as if he had lost his breath. I didn't look at him anymore. A month later, after the second trial period expired, Jiang Hui didn't file an appeal. He probably knew that an appeal would only mean spending more money on lawyers. Regarding the corporate fraud case, he sold a small apartment in his hometown and obtained some money to pay off the debts. After Shen Liang was brought into the picture, he tightly controlled Shen Man. He said that everything related to how the company operates, how contracts are signed, and how invoices are handled was all arranged by Shen Man and Jiang Hui. Finally, Shen Man stopped pretending to be pitiful. She went to my company and tried to stop me. This time, the security guards didn't let her enter the building. She shouted through the door, "Lin Wan, you've ruined my life." I went over and looked at her through the glass. "Your suffering is due to the efforts you've made. Don't blame others." She cried, "I just fell in love with someone I shouldn't have loved." "Did you really love Jiang Hui?" I looked at her. "What you loved were my house, my clothes, my salary, my car, my life. If you really loved Jiang Hui, you should be helping him pay off his debts now, not standing at my door as a repeater." Her face turned pale. I don't have a better life than you. Stop it. My voice became colder. I have a better life. After my mother left, my father supported me in my studies. I earned scholarships and worked part-time jobs to get by. It was during these 5 years of entrepreneurship that I suffered from severe stomach pains to the point where I had to sit in the bathroom while answering customers' calls. You see me sitting in the office. But you don't see how I managed to get up there. Don't call others' efforts good luck. You don't deserve it. Shen Man couldn't say anything anymore. The security guard asked her to leave. Later, I heard that she left this city. Her brother's company was closed down, and his debts still remain unpaid. Jiang Huai wasn't any better either. He couldn't find a decent job. The industry is so small. A resume filled with misappropriation of company funds, cheating with nannies, and even using nannies to beat one's wife would surely cause a huge scandal in any HR department. My mother-in-law moved back to her hometown. Jiang Qing called me once, asking if we could pay less for those 13,000 yuan. I said, yes. She was surprised. Really? If you pay less, I'll sue you. She hung up the phone. 3 months later, my father came to visit me in the city. The first thing he did when he entered the room was to walk around it. It's clean now. I laughed. I've hired 3 people to do the cleaning. He sat on the sofa, touching the armrests. People also seem cleaner now. I poured him tea. Dad, you're getting more harsh in your words. He looked at me. If your mother were here, she would be even harsher. My nose felt a bit sore. But soon, that feeling disappeared. If my mother were here, she might have chased Jiang Huai all 3 streets. I got my revenge for her. With laws. With evidence. With bills. It was quite respectable. It also felt good to do that. That night, my dad and I ate at home. There was no Jiang Huai complaining about the bland soup. No mother-in-law complaining that I didn't know how to take care of people. No Shen Man wandering around in my apron. Just 2 dishes and a soup. Tomato and egg stir-fry. Steamed bass fish. And winter melon and rib soup. My dad took a bite and said, "It tastes better than before." I said, "Before, there was garbage in the house. And it had a strange smell." He laughed for a while. Before going to sleep, I put my mother's jade bracelet back on my hand. The bracelet felt warm against my skin, with a slight coolness. I looked at my reflection in the mirror. The redness and swelling had disappeared. Even the bruises on my face were gone. But I will remember that punch. It reminds me not to treat concessions as a form of appeasement, not to see patience as a prerequisite for marriage, and not to regard vampires as family members. At 9 a.m. the next day, I went to sign the new contract. The total value of the contract was 200 million. The person in charge of the deal was a very efficient woman. After signing the contract, she smiled and shook my hand. "Mr. Lin, I've heard a lot about you. I heard you recently fought a very impressive battle." I took her hand. It was okay, mainly because my opponent was too weak. She laughed. On the way back to the company, Zhou Ku asked me, "Mr. Lin, what are you going to eat for lunch?" To celebrate? I thought for a while. Hot pot. Spicy hot pot. Very spicy. Zhou Ku looked at me and said, "Your face looks perfect for it." I fastened my seatbelt. "It's fine." I looked out the window. The sunlight was beautiful, the traffic was busy, and the city was noisy. Everyone kept moving forward. My phone vibrated slightly. It was an alert message from the bank. A payment had been received. This was Jiang Huai's first repayment. 200,000 yuan. I took a look at the amount and decided to donate it to a women's legal aid program. The note read just 4 words. Use it to fight domestic violence. Zhou Ku saw this and her eyes lit up. "President Lin, that's really impressive." I smiled. "Don't praise too much. It might make me feel too proud." She said, "Then it's still impressive." I leaned back in my chair and turned off my phone. From now on, my money, my house, and my life will all be under my control. The slap from the maid. The moment Jiang Huai demanded an apology from me, those moments were indeed painful. But after the pain passed, I woke up. When the garbage was cleared out, the air seemed to become more precious. I looked ahead and smiled slowly. Let's go. Let's go eat hot pot. Today, I'll treat you, to celebrate my departure from that low-class situation.